This video had to be made because I know you've got a glass jar somewhere. I know you got flour and I know you got water. But what we need is time to watch this video because it's the longest one I've got and it takes time to make bread this good. Trust me, follow my steps and let's be doing this together like friends. We've got our jar, our mason jar. It's a nice thick glass jar with a nice lid, and turn on our scale. Now, the first thing we're gonna do is put it to grams. Everything we do is in grams. So it's on 0 grams. We're gonna add 60 grams of water. Perfect. Now we're gonna add the same exact amount of whole wheat flour. Why whole wheat flour? Because it's full of nutrients that white bleach flour doesn't have anymore. It's like what we eat. The more nutrients we eat, the more healthier we grow. The 60 grams of whole wheat flour and 60 grams of water, and just stir it all together till it becomes a paste. We don't want any dry bits of flour left over. It's gonna look like, well, it's gonna look like this. It's gonna look like a really thick pancake batter. Okay? So let's go ahead and finish stirring it up. Once you got everything wet and you're confident, let's go ahead and take your spoon and just scrape down the sides until it all meets itself in the middle. Now what's happening right now is it's capturing all of the wild yeast that's floating in the air that we're breathing in. It's a beautiful thing. This is how they made bread thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago, before commercial yeast. So, this is day 1. I want to save all of it. Scrape it through. And now we cover it up. See you back in 24 hours with this thing for our next step. Day 2, and it's the same situation. Absolutely nothing is gonna happen on day 2. We still have our 60 grams of whole wheat flour and 60 grams of water just sitting there chilling. Go ahead and open up and look inside. A paste. It's just a paste. That's what it looks like. It looks like a toothpaste almost consistency. And it might form some bubbles, mine did not. Or it might have formed some overnight and then went back down. So we're gonna let this thing sit for another 24 hours and then check on it again. I wanted y'all to see day 3. Now things are happening. If you look closely, there's bubbles forming. Can you see those bubbles forming inside? That's our yeast. It's alive, it's working, guys. And I'm gonna go like this until I get -60. -60. Beautiful. Now that we took out 60 grams, we're gonna add my favorite flour, which is rye. Rye flour does something magical. It just grows the fastest. It is the healthiest for your, starter. So let's go ahead and put on tar. And I'm gonna add 60 grams of rye flour. Oh, we're at 59. That's good. That's good right there. 60. Boom. Doesn't get any more perfect than that. So now that we added 60 grams of flour, trust me, rye flour, the more different types of flour you use, the more flavor profile. So now we tar it again, and we're gonna add the same amount of water, 60 grams of water. Here we go. We're gonna make a little mess, but that's okay. There we go. We got 60 grams of water. See what it looks like? We're gonna take a spoon and we're gonna mix it all together. We're gonna mix it all together till there's no dry pieces of flour left, till it's all saturated, until it's all hydrated in water. Completely saturated. It's gonna look like a thick pancake batter as opposed to a toothpaste like last time. So now what I'm gonna do, see what it looks like? Check that out. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just take my spoon and just kind of scrape it down from the sides. Scrape it down from the sides. Scrape it down from the sides. Scrape it down. I just like to get it all involved because all the action's happening down there, I believe. And I would want to be part of the action, wouldn't you? So let's let all these little bits become part of the action. Cover it up. Son of Mr. Yeast, we'll see you in 24 hours. And now we come to the final stages of our starter growth. Our little baby, our little junior. So, days 4, 5, 6, and 7. That's all we have left. And each day it's gonna be the same thing. We're gonna take half of this out and replace it with 60 grams of water and 60 grams of flour. So what I love about this stage is that I can eyeball it. We no longer have to use a scale. We can actually use our eyeballs. So I can say to myself, that looks about half. Let's remove that much. So we keep discarding and adding new and fresh flour and water every day until we reach day 7. Days 4, 5, 6, and 7. Take out half, replace it with new. And it's gonna keep feeding it and feeding it and feeding it, making it stronger and stronger and stronger till we have a nice, strong, powerful starter. And if you have a powerful starter, it's like the perfect fuel for your bread to rise and be beautiful and delicious. Day number 4, guys. So we got some bubbles, we got some activity. Smells nice and pungent, just the way I like it. Now we need the scale. Now, whatever we put in as flour, we gotta put in the same grams of water. So, let's tar it. My favorite flour from making starter is whole rye flour because it gives us so much flavor. And let's just guesstimate. Forget the spoon. Let's just start pouring now. But make sure it's on grams so we know what we're pouring. There we go, 0 grams. So let's just go for it. I'll say, we'll go even higher than 60. We'll go 80. Now the only thing that's left to do is to make sure we put in exactly 80 grams of water. So we tar it, and then we pour in 80 grams of water. Perfect. Get rid of the scale. And the simple stirring technique. And now it's becoming more and more watery, like a pancake batter. So we're just gonna stir it real vigorously. Oh man, it smells. I can't even, it smells like it's gonna make good bread. Right now, it just smells like funk, but that's it. And then we take our spoon, we scrape off the sides, and we bring them all down into the funky middle. We're in Funk Town today, baby. With the smell of this, you sniff enough, if you sniff enough of this, you're gonna end up in Funk Town. There we go. Get rid of the rest, drop it in, and that's it. That's all she wrote. We take this, that's what it looks like now. All hydrated, no dry spots at all. We're gonna wipe off some of this extra stuff on the lid because we want a nice clean lid. That's okay. Cover up Mr. Yeast Jr. and see you again in 24 more hours. We're gonna do this same thing 3 more times, and then we're gonna be ready to rock and roll. Welcome to day 5, everybody. Just to prove a point, I'm gonna take my starter, which Hasn't really grown much. I don't see too many bubbles or anything like that. When I smell it, it's got that nice funky pungency, but pleasant still to some, maybe not to others. And I'm gonna do something because it's still lower than half. I'm gonna show you that you don't need to do a discard yet at this point. You can actually just add flour. Instead of my usual rye flour that I like to use, I wanna show you that you can use different types of flours and how different types of flours actually add to the flavor profile, because it's gonna make it taste newer, taste different. It doesn't always have to taste the same. So I like to experiment with different types of flours. So in this scenario, I'm not taking anything out. You could if you want to. You could take 60 grams out and discard, but we don't have to yet, because I don't think as powerful as it's gonna get that it's gonna blow up if I add another 60 grams of flour and 60 grams of water. I think it might rise a little bit, but that's about it. So I'm kind of playing a guessing game, just because I've done this so many times. You can go ahead and discard about 100 grams and then add 60 plus 60, but we're trying to gain more and more. So today, I'm not discarding anything. So the first thing I'm gonna do is just I put my starter on top of my scale, because we always need a scale when we're adding flour. I'm gonna turn it on and tar it to 0. First, I'm gonna put it to grams, because we always work in grams. And today, as I said, I'm not removing anything. There's not really that much discard, and I really doubt that it's gonna grow so much that it's gonna blow the lid off, which, by the way, can happen, and it has happened to me. It turns itself into a little bomb sometimes, and when there's nowhere to go, it makes a way. So I'm just gonna use today regular all-purpose flour. It's not even strong bread flour, but it's flour. It doesn't have as many nutrients as whole wheat or rye, or even bread flour, but it's flour and it's gonna work. The yeast is gonna eat it or gobble it right up. It loves it. It's got all the necessary sugars in it, so I'm gonna go 60. And remember, you can add over as long as you match whatever you have with water. So 59, 60, perfect. 60 grams of flour. So we got that out of the way. And now we're gonna add 60 grams of water. I'm gonna tar it back to 0, and I'm gonna go ahead and add 60 grams. This doesn't have to be perfect, just as long as everything is touching itself. So now I'm gonna go ahead and do my little scraping technique where I just scrape to the bottom. We don't want completely watery consistency, but we do want something like this. So you see how it still kind of maintains a little stretch? We want the yeast to be as powerful as possible. And that's why it takes us 7 days. And after our 7 days, we've got this thing forever. As long as we feed it and take care of it, it can last forever. Heck, I've had a starter sitting in the fridge for a month, and it's grown hooch on it and everything. I stirred it right back in a couple days, it came right back to life. It's almost impossible to kill this. The only way you can really kill this is if you let mold in. You'll see white mold growing, and you don't want that. You just want to have a nice, pure starter with only 2 things in it that are alive, which is the yeast, which is coming from the air, and the good bacteria that gives it that flavor, that sourness. But no mold. Mold is bad. If you see mold growing in your starter, throw it out. Start all over again, because it's just not gonna work. I'm gonna take a rubber band. By the way, you're always gonna wanna have a rubber band when you're cooking with this, because this will show you how far it's grown. So I'm going to basically try to find where the top is. You know, luckily I scraped it with a spoon so I can see where I'm at. So it's actually exactly at half of this container. So now I know where I started, and we're gonna see if it grew at all. So we covered it tightly. We got a rubber band marking the top of where it is. Can everybody see that? So, I mean, you'll see a little bit of starter up here, but you can see where I scraped it down with the spoon. So we put the rubber band where the spoon scrapings have stopped. And it'll be different on all sides. Just kind of adjust it from where you're at. And that's it. We put this away 24 hours somewhere nice and warm, preferably 75 degrees. If you have a warm room in your house, that's the ultimate growth temperature, I believe, for yeast, for bread altogether. 70 and colder, it's gonna take you probably double, triple the time that it's taking me to make this. So let's go ahead and put this away, come back in 24 hours for day 6. Well guys, day 6 and we got ourselves a little situation. And this is good because it's gonna mimic real life. This happens sometimes. We put our rubber band where we were and look, it actually died on us and went down. But it's never truly dead. I believe there's some life force still in here. So we're gonna do a big discard and we're gonna give it my rocket fuel, my rye. So let's go ahead and get our scale. Take off our lid. Now, if you look inside, I don't know if you could see this, you could still see some bubbles. Do you see that? Do you see some bubbles? That's a good sign. And it doesn't smell bad at all. But the bubbles mean they're telling me there's still some little life forces in there trying to keep going. So let's go ahead and do a big discard. Set it to grams, set it to 0, and let's take out about 120 grams. Now I'm gonna use a nice clean spoon, and we're gonna go ahead and add 60 grams, about 60 grams of our whole rye flour. We're gonna see if we can't bring this thing back to life. And add 62 grams of water. Water goes fast because it's heavier, so take it easy, little by little. 57 already. 63, close enough. 62 and 63. So now we're gonna move away our scale and we're gonna give it a good mix. Let's go ahead and scrape as much as we can so we can have as clear of a window as possible. I'm gonna go ahead and wipe away the excess off the rim. Close it up. Let's set our rubber band right where the top is. So we just go around and move it to where it matches the top of the line all around. There we go. So now we have this. So if this thing starts going above the rubber band, we're in good shape. If it does nothing after a day, we might have to start this all over again. Let's go ahead and put this aside for 24 hours, someplace warm. Day 7. I don't know where you guys are in the world, but it's wintertime where I am and it's cold. So I have to resort to different methods. If it's summer, it would grow really nice and fast and healthy. In winter, you might want to put it in an oven and turn the oven light on and make it nice and warm in there. Or you can actually buy a proofing container that'll regulate the temperature and keep it at a nice 75 degrees, which is perfect. But look, we have life. It didn't sink below the line. If you can see this, it actually grew above the line. So we did it. We did it, guys. 7 days. I'm gonna take out about, let's say 120 grams, right? So you know what? Yeah, let's just do it the safe way. Negative 120, boom. All right, so let's set this aside. Let me clean off my spoon. This is not necessary because it's going right back in anyway, but just in case. So now we are going to add 60 grams of water. Doesn't matter which way it goes, water first or flour first. We'll just go ahead and put in our 60 grams of water. Boom, 61 grams. We can live with that. Now, the flour. Make sure we're really nice and clean here. All right. Now let's go ahead and add whole wheat flour. We might as well give it some rocket fuel. Whole wheat's full of nutrients, and it's really gonna help it grow fast. Close it up, seal it back up. Now, I've got a plane to catch. I'm gonna go visit family in Florida. So I'm gonna take Mr. Yeast Jr. He's ready to go into the fridge now and stay there. And after a week, we're gonna make some bread. So for you, it'll be a couple seconds. For me, it'll be about 7 days. This goes right into the fridge and it'll be fine there. All right, everybody, we're back from Florida. We spent New Year's over there and a little bit of January, and now we're back in the cold, but it's nice. Do I have a little tan? Just a little bit. So I just went to the gym. Today's Saturday, and I forgot I had Mr. Yeast Jr. sitting in the fridge, waiting to be made something out of. I'm gonna start my levain on Saturday because it's cold outside. It takes it time to grow. A levain is what is gonna power our bread. It's basically the yeast, right? So we're gonna separate it out of the main bulk, right? This can go on, if we feed this right and take care of this, could last for generations. We can pass it on to our grandchildren, and then they can pass it on to their grandchildren and their grandchildren, on and on and on. It'll just taste better, better, and better, century after century after century. So anyway, so first thing we're gonna do to make a levain, you want to, so anyway, start all over again. So we are starting the day before, because tomorrow's Sunday. I want my levain to be ready to go tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning, Sunday morning, wake up, time to make bread. Okay, so we've got this. We've got a scale. Now, let's start making our levain. We want an empty vessel. This will do. One of these little containers, these little to-go containers, they're perfect. You know why? You can seal them up. You get a rubber band, right? You put your rubber band below them. Maybe not as tight as mine, but a rubber band should work. Let's just put it on for now just to have it. Now, we are gonna take the lid off, our rubber band on our scale. We're making a levain. Remember guys, make this a day in advance. Unless you have some fancy heating chamber, some fancy proofing chamber. Us regular people, we make it a day in advance. So first thing we do, we turn it on, we put it onto grams. Okay, so grams, tar it to 0. Now we start at 0. So, I don't know, I'm gonna make maybe 2 loaves of bread. Maybe I'll make one like this and one big boule, one big circle. Maybe I'll make something nice and fancy. Let's check it out. So, I don't know, how much do we want? Altogether levain, let's say we want 200 grams of levain, right? Just for poops and giggles, okay? So, 200 grams. So that means I'm going to add 200. So I'm gonna add 100 grams of Mr. Beast Jr. Okay, 100 grams, here we go. This is kind of ballsy. But remember, if I overdo it, that means I just make it up with flour and water and make it equal. So if I'm gonna get 100 grams, oh, we're at 90, no. $95. Okay guys, we are at exactly 100 grams. Holy cow, we are 99 grams. How's that even possible? You know what? No, we're not. We are at 100 grams. We're at 100 grams. 101, 100, 100. Perfect. We're at a great, perfect. We're at a great amount of grams. So we've got that. But before we put Mr. Yeast U Jr. away, we want to give him a little something because we just took out a little something. So why don't we go ahead and add, we just took 100 out, right? So let's give him 50 of everything. Let's give him 50 grams of water, tar it to 0, give him 50 grams of water. Boom. 50 grams of water and 50 grams of dynamite, which I love. My whole rye flour. Put it back to tar. So now I'm gonna add 50 grams. Let's use a clean spoon here. Ah! We have no clean spoons. Be right back. 50 grams of our rye flour. Cover them up. Cover them up. And I'm put them right back in the fridge. I'll be right back, because there he's gonna sit for another week until I feed him again. Or maybe I might use him again. Who knows? So, and I'm gonna wash my hands too. I'll be right back. We're gonna start making a levain out of him. Very, very crucial step to bread making. And it's always done the day before, especially when it's cold out like this. Now, okay, so now we're gonna put them back on a scale, right? So we have 100 grams of, set it to, yeah, that's right, grams. So tear it, tar it, and what do we do now? We're gonna add 50 grams of water and 50 grams of flour. There we go, beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so now we're gonna tear it. We're gonna tar it. So I'm gonna put in 25 grams of my rocket fuel. I love my rye flour. It gives it flavor. So I'm gonna put 25 grams into this. Is that 20? Oh, that was only 13. So maybe, all right. We went a little bit overboard. We went to 30, but that's okay. That just means the other flour we'll just need 20 of. So let's close it up, put it away. And over here, we just have good old-fashioned, all-purpose flour. Right? Use this for everything. You bake it. You make chunks of cookies with it. Mama loves it, grandma loves it, everybody loves it. So, 20 grams. 50 grams total. Guys, perfection. Let's close you up so I don't forget about you later. Close you up, put a nice little clip on you. This is it. Here we go. Turn this off. No more need for a scale. Now, we're gonna take our dirty spoon and we're just gonna mix it all together. So, Mr. Yeast, meet new flour and new water. And let all that life inside of you permeate through all the new flour and new water and create a strong levain. And guys, you're gonna wanna see it double in size at least. It's gotta double. If it doesn't double, it's gonna be weak. Your bread's gonna be flat, it's gonna, you wanna see your bread bounce. They call it an oven bounce. It bounces up high. That's good bread. You know it's gonna be nice. The inside structure is gonna be light and airy and lacy. So, all right, so I got a good spin, but I really need to get a good visual on this from the side when I'm looking at it. That's why I've got this rubber band. So right now is a very important time for me to make sure that I push everything down. I mean, it's gonna have some scrapings on the side. That's inevitable. Except we are going to have a nice clear window of what's going on. A nice clear window. Okay, this is all good stuff. I'm not taking this with me. I'm putting it right back in. This is good stuff right here. I've got clean hands, baby. Clean hands, baby. And what's nicer on a cold winter Sunday morning than having your levain ready to go and baking bread? It's like therapy. It's like therapy to me. Therapy to me. So anyway, let's close it up. Now, let's see what we got. It's all the way down here. So I'm gonna move my rubber band. Move my rubber band to the top peaks. Come on, baby. Getting there? All right, there's a top on that side. There's a top on that side. All right, so, can y'all see that? Can y'all see that? I'll put it down right here. Can y'all see that? So I put the rubber band and I made it hit right at the top of the levain. What we're looking for tomorrow is for that to at least double. If it goes higher, even better, even stronger. The stronger the yeast, the more bounce and fluffy bread we get. That's what we want. So now I'm just gonna leave it out at room temperature. What do I have it at right now? Like 70 degrees, something like that. Or I could speed up the process, but I'm not gonna, because I'm gonna show you a real life scenario. So let's go ahead and put this away, and I'll see you tomorrow, Sunday, for a nice, relaxing bread making Sunday. What's going on, everybody? Sunday morning, it's about 8:34 a.m. I was trying to start a little earlier, but you know, sleep happens and it feels so good. But anyway, I pulled myself out of bed. I didn't make my hair. All I did was kind of put a hat on, because this is my Sunday morning hairstyle. Hope you don't mind. Another hat day. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna check on our levain, right? So I want to show you something. I want to show you something very, very special. Look where our rubber band is. Look where I'm going to move up closer to you guys so you can see better. Look where our rubber band is. And look, it's completely doubled in size. Completely doubled in size. Do you see that? I mean, I would like to see it actually go even higher than that, because the more size, the more poof, the more air inside, the more lively it is, and the bigger our bread will be, and the more bounce we'll have. But this is great. I mean, I would actually say this is just slightly doubled in size. So anyway, we're ready. We are ready, guys. We are ready to make our bread. We're ready. This is what we need. This is the power, the driving force behind our bread. And now, let's talk about flour. You want a flour that's about, you know, between 12 and up percent, 12 to 14% gluten, okay? Because gluten is what makes that web-like structure inside that keeps those air pockets in there. And then you can stretch it and it'll kind of come back together. That's the magic of gluten. So this particular one, it even says right on the label, 12.7% gluten. And another way to find out is you want to look at it, you want to see at least 4 grams of protein. I've seen ones at 5 grams. Some brands work great. This brand always never fails me. So we're gonna make a couple different loaves of bread. And today, thank you to all of you beautiful people and all your subscriptions, we were able to afford a stand mixer. Yes. If you want to see me do this by hand, like I've done all the time in the past, write it in the comments. I'll redo it. I'll make an even nicer loaf and I'll do it all by hand. So let's go ahead and plug this baby in. Just a quick little power check. Yes, we have power. So the first thing we're gonna do, as usual, is we're gonna take our scale. One of the most important ingredients, one of the most important tools that you can use in bread baking. So now with sourdough, it's really cool because you control the level of sourness. The more time it sits, then the more sour it gets. The less time it sits, you get a much more neutral bread and it's liked by more people. Some people like it real sour, real pungent, and I'll show you how to do that. First things first, we want one of these. This comes with it. This came with my mixer. It is a bread hook, a dough hook. Now, we're gonna wanna go ahead and attach that. There's different sorts of attachments. This is best for dough. So we have that. And the bowl it comes with. So the bowl kind of goes in here, but the first thing we're gonna do is measure out our ingredients. We wanna make sure we have a nice clean bowl, nothing in it, beautiful. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is add our water, because if we put flour on the bottom first and then start adding our liquids, it'll be harder for it to like separate. You want the water to be the base. So I'm gonna make about 2 loaves. One's gonna be a little smaller, one's gonna be a little bit bigger. The boulet, the round one, it's a bigger Banneton basket. I'll show you my baskets in a little bit. So we wanna add, let's see, we've got about what, 200 grams of levain. The other trusty old baker's tool, the good old spoon. So let's take our 200 grams of levain and pretty much use it all. So let's go to on. Let's push unit until we hit grams. Tar it to 0. Okay, so we're gonna put in 200 grams of levain, right? The more levain you use, the better it will rise. There's nothing left in there but scrapings. But you see those scrapings? I can actually add flour and water to those scrapings because they're alive, those little scrapings. And we could just start another levain out of this. We're gonna use 600 grams of water, which is quite a bit. So let's get started. 598, 599, 600. All right, we got exactly 600 grams of water ready to go right there. Next thing you're gonna need is not iodized salt. The iodine, I don't know, it's gonna ruin your bread. You want natural sea salt. And I like this one because this one is fine. I don't like the big flaky finishing salt because you're gonna have like flakes within your bread with like pockets of salt. This is fine sea salt. So it's ground up nice and fine, so it'll be equally dispersed throughout our bread. And it'll be perfect. So I'm gonna tar it back to 0, and I'm gonna add 20 grams of this right into my water. Seems like a lot, but we're making a lot of bread. And this is really just gonna flavor our bread, so it's not gonna be so bland. If you go a little over, I'd rather be one over than one under. 18, 19, oh, you're right there, baby. 20! 20 grams of natural sea salt, finely ground. I recommend it highly. Now, remember I was discussing the importance of flour? We are going to add 900 grams. 900 grams of bread flour. Just regular bread flour. So, let's go ahead and add 900 grams. Tart to 0 and begin. 160, 809, 810, 830. I went 910. Now there's a couple things you can do at this point. We really need to have 1,000 grams of flour, but I've learned throughout the years to mix different flours together to make it like just taste more rustic, like less store-bought. So I'm gonna just leave it at 910 grams of our bread flour. Remember, strong bread flour, 12.7% in gluten. And I'm gonna add special other kind of flour that I've discovered that I love. Hold on one second, I'm gonna go get it. Back. Haha! Okay, so anyway, we need another 90 grams. Well, now it's 909. So now we need another, now it's 910. So we need another 90 grams of flour. So this is called spelt flour. And you can use einkorn flour, you can use more rye if you like that flavor, which I already have a lot of rye inside of my starter, so that's gonna give that flavor in there. But spelt flour, this thing has a protein of 5 grams of protein per serving. So it's pretty high in protein, and I don't think it's gonna hurt us at all. So let's go ahead and make this all the way up to, right now it's 909, let's go all the way up to 1,000. 999, 1,000, thank you. All right, so let's repeat what we have here. We have 1,000 grams of flour, and we're gonna mix it up, right? Because if I put this into my, mixer, it's just gonna like fly everywhere, you know? So we want to get the water incorporated with it. So that's really what I'm doing right now, just kind of pushing the sides down into the water. So when I mix it, it's not gonna go poof! Big dust of flour and ingredients everywhere that we really kind of needed. So let me go ahead and do that. All right, so now our stand mixer comes into play. Let's go ahead and put it down, put it all the way to the side. And we are gonna go ahead and lock it up, and we're gonna mix it. It's kind of like funky, it's shaggy, and we're just gonna keep it mixing until it looks good. Hang on a second, I'll show you. All right, so here's what we're working with. This is what it looks like. We're gonna set it to 1, and we're just gonna keep spinning it. See how it's all shaggy and stuff? But the flour is not flying everywhere like it would have otherwise. So what we're gonna do is, if you look right now, let me show you. It's already kind of starting to form a gluten structure, but you see how it's still kind of like shaggy around the sides and it's stuck to the sides and stuff? Once it comes up from all the sides and becomes one big ball stuck to the hook, that's how I know I'm ready. So let's keep going. Close it up. Seal it back up, put it back to 1. You want your, it's too much. See, this is what happens with an amateur like me. So you put it back in, close it up. 1 is all we need. Don't go higher than 1, because we're just basically kneading this, okay? And I love this. I love the smell. The different flowers. Okay, it's starting to get there, guys. I don't know, can I even tilt this so I can show you a little bit better? Can I tilt it? Look at that, see how it's starting to come off the sides? There's still little bits and pieces on the sides of the inside of the bowl, but it's starting to form one big mass, and that's exactly what we want. So let's finish that up. All right, guys, let's see what we got. Stop it, lift it. Look at that. It's all kind of like, look at this. This is gluten structure. See how stretchy it is? That's the gluten at work. That's beautiful. Otherwise, it would just fall off here. I'm gonna go a little bit lower. I'm just gonna go a little bit more because I still see some pieces stuck to the corners until it's all come apart. It's working great. Can y'all see that? Is this even good for the motos that I'm bending it over so you guys can see better? I have no idea. It's magical. It's mixing it all. I could do this by hand, but why? All you wonderful subscribers have helped me buy this amazing kitchen mixer, this amazing stand mixer. So, you know what? Let me show you what I'm seeing right here. I'm seeing nothing being stuck to the sides. It's all coming apart now. It's all in one big mass. It's nothing stuck to the sides anymore. I'm just giving it a little extra time just to, make sure it gets all the loving it has. I could possibly give it. But that's it. That's really all I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop it. I'm gonna lift it. I'm gonna take my finger and loosen up the rest off of the hook. Get it all off the hook. And that's it. Everything that we need now is right here. But we're gonna take this out of this container and we're gonna put it into a rising, proofing, wonderful bread making container. Something with glass sides. I prefer something with glass because I like to watch it grow. And we're gonna give it some treatment every half an hour. So hold on one second. I wanna show you a tool that I have. All right, this is pretty cool. This is a bread scraper. This one's silicone, so it's kind of easy to use. You can throw it in the dishwasher when you're done, but I use it to scrape bread out of kind of like cylindrical places like this. Some places with curves, so I can get in there and get in there with the grooves and the silicone. So I'm gonna take this. I've got this awesome 4-quart Pyrex, and it's glass so I can see what's going on inside. I love seeing what's going on. So we're gonna go ahead and we are going to we're gonna go ahead and take all of our dough and just lightly scrape it in there. Right now, it's just kind of like a shaggy mess. There's really no structure to it at all. Here, I'll do it here so you can watch me do it. I like this. You see how it's nice and connecting? It doesn't want to separate. That's great. That's a great sign. That means the gluten is strong in this one. And that's what I want to see. Because as I add air, as I fold it, I'm going to be going through a series of folds and stuff. So nothing left. We're good. We're good. I'm going to take this and put it into my sink. And that's it, guys, for now. Half an hour, I'm going to cover this thing up. The reason we cover it up is because we don't want any of the water to dry out. So we're going to leave this here for half an hour. Half an hour. Let me set my timer. "30 minutes. 30 minutes. Timer. 30 minutes. Start." Okay. I got my timer set to 30 minutes. And I'll see y'all back here shortly. And we're gonna do our first set of stretch and folds. Stretch and folds. And we're gonna do this about 4, 5, 6, 7. You can do it a lot of times. The more times, the stronger the dough becomes. The stronger the dough becomes, the more air it can take on and puffiness it can cause. It's wonderful. So anyway, I'm probably gonna go for about 4 or 5 folds. So that's 1 fold and stretch, and I'll show you how I do it every half hour. So see you back here very shortly. Our first half hour has passed. So what we're gonna do is take our water, we're gonna dip our hands in it, little bath, make sure it's nice and wet. Take our wet hands, and we're gonna go ahead and start stretching out this dough. I'm gonna take one hand, put it back in the water. Let me bring the water back in the screen here so you can see. And I'm gonna put it down, and I'm gonna stretch, not too hard, just till it stops, and give away. See why it's important to wet my hands? See how it's sticking right there? I'd wet my hand right there. So let me wet my hands again. I'm gonna turn it, and I'm gonna, everywhere that hasn't stretched, I'm gonna just do this one technique. Turn, water, one hand down, one hand stretches over the other hand. It's wet, so it slides right out. So I'm just gonna keep doing this. I don't know. You see all these shaggy sides right here? This side's been stretched, this side is not. So I'm gonna make sure I get all the sides stretched and stuck. More water, especially in the beginning, because it's sticky. It's super sticky in the beginning. But as this gets stronger, what we're doing right now, see, look at that. And then I pull my hand, and you see that? I pull my hand out, right? So, I don't know, can you get a good view? So I'm gonna wet both my hands, right? I'm gonna hold one hand down, hold the middle down right here, and I'm gonna pull upwards and over my hand and take my hand out. And I keep doing this, right? Wet my hand every time I feel like I need to. I'm gonna keep doing this, and look, it's actually getting harder. As I'm stretching, it doesn't come up as high. It doesn't come up as high as before. So I'm just gonna keep doing this. And the more you stretch and fold, the stronger the gluten gets. You're exercising it. Just like you exercise your own glutes, well, we're exercising our glutes here. Sometimes I like to flip it over, right? And look at how nice and smooth the other side is. And sometimes I like to just kind of finish it off with a little tuck in, a little tuck in, like this. A little tuck in, tuck it in. Okay, there we go. All right, so that's our first stretch and fold, guys. We're gonna close it up and see you in 30 minutes. We've been waiting half an hour. It's relaxed. It's nice and soft and pliable again. Let's go ahead and wet our hands and do the same technique. We're gonna lift one end over our hand. Wet it, lift one end, stretch it. Don't pull it, you don't wanna rip it. because what's happening is as we're doing this, it's already begun proofing, which means it's already begun filling up with air. So I'm just going gentle. I'm just pulling it until it stops, which is like right there. And every time I pull it, it stops at a lower point, which is a good sign. So I'm almost down to like being able to, it's only my second stretch and fold, and already I'm having trouble getting it over. I mean, unless I like really rip it, but I'm not going to do that because I don't want to ruin the structure that we're forming and all the bubbles that are forming underneath inside of the structure. So I'm just going to do this little stretch and fold technique. Right now, there's really nothing much left to stretch and fold. So I'm going to do my thing where I take it out and I'm just going to kind of, it looks like a ghost, right? Like a ghost from Pac-Man. So I'm just going to kind of keep tucking it into itself like this. And what that's doing is kind of stretching it even more. And I'm just going to kind of like stick it together and go like this, fold it out, fold it in, fold it out, fold it in. And now on our next stretch and fold, since this one's gotten way too tight, we're going to go the opposite way. So we're actually going to put it in our bowl like this, close it up, boom, cover this up. See you again in half an hour. All right, kids, fold number 3. Fold number 3. Now this time we're gonna go the opposite way. And what I believe that does is when we do it the opposite way, we give it even more strength. Because we've been folding in one direction, right? Well, now we're folding in the other direction. So we do 2 folds in one direction and 2 folds in the other direction. Already it's strong. Look at this. It's not letting me stretch it. Look how tight that is. It's just barely, I'm barely making it across my hand. That's all it's letting me do. So I'm just gonna go as many times as my heart desires, just knowing that the more I move it around, the more I stretch it, the more I exercise the gluten, make it stronger. Oh man, this is gonna be nice. This is gonna be so easy to work with. And that's it. We're gonna do one more time, and then we're ready for the final proof where we just let it sit. See you boys and girls in half an hour. Bye. This is the 4th and final stretch and fold. It's been sitting, it's been getting jiggly, it's soft, and it's ready for the final one. Sometimes I go more than 4, but I mean, look how tight this thing is. Look at that. I mean, do you see that? That is tight. So the dough is talking to me, and it's telling me all I need is just one more stretch and fold, and I'll be good to go. You could leave me alone for 4 hours to proof. Look at this. I can't even bring it up. I could hardly bring it up. That's all I could do. And I'm holding it down with my other hand. That's all I can do. That means this dough is ready. So let's go ahead and just get all the little ends involved, right? Let's turn it around. I'm holding it down with one hand, because if I do it with one hand, it's not gonna do anything, it's just gonna move. So I'm actually holding it down with one hand as I'm stretching and folding. I got barely anything to hold on to at this point. It's just using 2 hands, one to hold it and one to fold it over. One to hold it, one to fold. I can't even fold it all the way over anymore. That's how tight this gluten structure has become. So at this point, since I can't even fold it over my fingers, I'm just gonna lift the whole thing up, and I'm gonna do my little pinch from the bottom and squeeze it. Just kind of keep stretching it into itself. Just kind of stretch it to itself, turn it around, stretch it to itself, right? Until we got a nice little clean ball on top. And I'm gonna put the ugly part down, the pretty part up, tuck it in. And so we're gonna hold this right here at room temperature. Hopefully it's about 72 degrees in your house. 75 would be awesome. Cover it all the way so no water escapes and let it sit for about 4 hours. It'll tell you because if you look at it, it's gonna double in size. Mine takes about 4 hours in my house. When it doubles in size, we're ready to shape the bread. See you then. Oh, ba, boo, ba, hey! It's been well over 4 hours. We've proofed. I want you to take a look at what we have here. It has grown. It has doubled in size perfectly. Now, all we need is a nice clean surface. I cleaned this surface while you were gone, and this is the only tool we need. You know what this is? It's a bench scraper. It's a bench scraper. We're gonna use this bench scraper and we're gonna make 2 amazing loaves out of it. So, guys, this is a long process. This takes a long time, okay? So, let's roll up our sleeves, make sure you got nice clean hands. We're gonna open it up. Look at that. Look, it grows so much it's stuck to the top of it. You see that? Beautiful. That's what you wanna see. We won't need the lid, but we want this to come out nice and clean. So let's just carefully make sure we get all the bread along with it. So I'm just gonna go side to side to side to side to side. It's just so full of air right now. I mean, this thing grew exactly how we wanted it to grow. So there we go. Boom. I'm gonna set this aside real quick. Now, all right, so what we got here, it's a big mass of dough, a massive, oh, the smell, it smells like real bread. It's not like that store-bought crap. This smells like really big, good bread. So I'm gonna make 2 kinds of bread out of this. I'm gonna make one boulé, which is like a circular bread. It's gonna be beautiful. And then I'm gonna make one, it's gonna be like kind of in a loaf pan, right? And you'll see, it'll be really nice. So either way, we're gonna actually proof those overnight. But right now we gotta shape the bread, very important part. So knowing that my boulé is gonna be bigger, so here's, I eyeball. A lot of people weigh this stuff. I don't weigh anything like this. When I'm up to this point, I'm just gonna eyeball it. So say this is the halfway point, I'm gonna make the boulé about 3/4 of the size of that. So bread wants to stick to itself. So once you push this down, you want to kind of make sure that the parts stay away from each other. There we go. Now I want you to notice something very important. I'm not using any flour. No flour at all. You know why? Because I don't want to add, I don't want to take away from the hydration that I have here on this bread. So this is my flour right here. I scrape it all up together. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move my boulé out of the way first. And I'm gonna use my banton. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the corners and bring them up top. And as I work, I see bubbles in there. I try not to pop the bubbles, right? So we got it kind of like all picked up into like a little purse here in a corner. We're gonna take our bench scraper and turn it upside down so you got the smooth side up. And now we're just gonna pop some of these bubbles. We don't really want them. What we're gonna do is kind of like slide it around and take it for a little walk. It'll stick to the side a little bit. What we're gonna do is we're basically making like a perfect circle, right? So, but what it's also doing is it's tauging the side. It's making it tight underneath. So it's making a skin, because if you have a nice tight skin, it'll puff up even better. So that's what we're really doing. Right? This is the first step in shaping our bread. So for our smaller bread, I'm just gonna keep going around like this, taking it out, going around like this, back to where it was, take it out, go around like this, take it out, and I'm gonna try to find the best shape that resembles a circle. As you can see, it's getting higher. It's getting higher because I'm just kind of pushing it upwards. I'm pushing upwards with my bench scraper. Look at this. I don't need flour. There's no purpose in flour right now, right? So this looks nice. This is a nice ball. I got a nice bread ball right here. And I am going to take it and move it aside. I'm gonna reball it a little bit because I kind of lost the shape a little bit. Now, very important. I'm gonna cover it up. You know what? Let's put this to the side so we can have some room for, you can see what I'm doing here. So let's bring it a little bit closer to the edge. Back into a ball shape. Sometimes you want to spin it, pull it out. When you pull it out, you want to kind of like pull it out from an angle, because if I just pull it out like this, it just takes that skin that I tucked underneath, it just pulls it right back out. And I don't want to do that. I want the skin that I tucked underneath to stay underneath, right? So, turn it back around till we got a nice, beautiful little ball shape. Okay. Got some bubbles here. We got some nice bubbles. That's okay. I'm not gonna pop them. I might pop them. I might not pop them. Who knows? But going for that perfect ball shape. Now, done. Nice and taut. Perfect little ball, risen up nicely. So I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna cover this lightly, just like that, for half an hour. 30 minutes, rest. I just worked it up and I want it to rest, because when it's rested, it's relaxed and I can shape the dough into the shape I want it. Let's do the same thing. Let's do the same thing with the boule. So I'm gonna take all my corners, bring them up like a purse, find every little corner that I can grab right now. This doesn't have to be perfect right now. I'm gonna grab it, right? From the bottom, flip it over to the smooth side up. I'm gonna do the same exact thing. I'm gonna take it, and I'm going to I'm just gonna push it. I'm basically like pushing it like this, right? And all it's really doing is just pushing that top skin underneath. I'm pushing the top skin underneath. And at the same time, I'm turning it into a ball, right? Look at that. This one's working out just fine. Into a ball, into a ball. This is gonna be nice, and make it nice and high. Nice and high. When I take it out at an angle. Take it out at an angle like that so it doesn't pull away any of that skin that I just taught. Take it out at an angle. There we go. This is a nice ball right here. So I'm gonna bring it right to the center, because this is gonna be the first one I'm gonna work on. So, nice ball. Make sure you get all the edges in there. Now I've been working this a little bit. Let's let it relax too. Back over here. So now it's a little bit of an oval. So let's make it a ball again by pushing in this side and pushing in this side. Beautiful, look at that. That is beautiful. Won't you say that's beautiful? I think that's beautiful. Okay, so now the next thing I want to do is the same thing. I'm gonna take my bowl and I'm gonna cover it up. Half an hour, let it sit, let it relax, and then we're gonna shape it into our bread, put it into our Banneton baskets, and then leave it overnight, and tomorrow we're gonna make bread, baby. Stick around, I'll be right back. This half hour to you is gonna seem like nothing.
Next time you're at the grocery, don't be afraid to grab quite a few of these. They're coming very useful when baking bread. So as I said, we're gonna have two shapes of bread, one round and one oval. It's very important that you take the Banneton baskets and you douse it completely in rice flour. Rice flour prevents any of that moist dough from sticking, and it'll come out nice and smooth and even. So at this point, I'm just gonna go ahead and take the smaller of the two, which is going to be the oval. And I'm just going to start gently flipping it around and stretching it without popping any of the air that's built up on the inside, and even using the tension of having no flour on the countertop to pull, just like that. And I'm trying to make a square type shape, as square as possible. And the reason for that is this. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to first fold one side over about a third, and then the second side over about a third. Now this is already going to start creating some tension. And now at this point, I'm going to take my bench scraper and put it in a position that's comfortable for me to start rolling. As I'm rolling, I'm pulling out a little bit and I'm rolling in a little bit. Every time I pull out, again, I'm building tension in that skin. Always building tension. Just keep that in mind. So I'm going to keep it going till it completes itself, just like this. Now when it's done, it's going to look a little ugly because the sides are going to look like cinnamon swirls. So what we're going to do is we're going to poke it with our finger like that, and we're going to pinch it off with a side. This is why we didn't put any flour on it yet, because the flour wouldn't let us work it like that. It won't let it stick together like that. So what we're doing again is we're just kind of pushing in with our finger, and then we're pinching the seams shut. And we're almost done. Now I'm just going to do a little final aesthetic touches towards the end. I'm going to try to roll it out and make it look nice and cylindrical as possible. Make it look nice and symmetrical as possible. And then when I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and lift it up carefully and put it in smooth side down into my rice floured banneton, just like this. Just like this. So now we're gonna make even more tension happen. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna push down, which you can't see me doing because for some reason I filmed it at the top right, but I'm pushing down on the flour and I'm pinching across. You could also do a stitching motion where you stitch a little bit over, and it just kind of makes it tighter around the skin. And once you're done with that, you're practically done shaping the bread. Last thing you want to do is to flour it. And really, it's just for the reasoning of not having it to stick to the bag that you're going to leave it in the fridge overnight. So the flour is just a non-sticky surface is what you're doing. You don't actually need it. So now let's go ahead and work on our boule. So it's a little bit bigger. And we're going to do basically the same exact sort of thing. We're going to start stretching it around without popping anything or without deflating any of it, and try to make it as much of a square shape as possible, because I'm going to do the same exact thing that I just did. So I'm using the tension. Look at this. I'm using the tension of the work surface. It has no flour in it. I like it like that. That way I can pull and the other part stays put. Now essentially we're going to be doing the same exact thing we just did. We're going to roll it up into a burrito, and then we're going to roll it up again sideways, and that's going to build a lot of surface tension. But we're not going to finish there. We're going to add some more tension to it, because this is rounder, this is bigger, it needs a little bit more to rise, a little more oomph, a little more work to it. So let's do the same thing we just did. And we're gonna push in the corners right here, and we're gonna try to make it back into a ball type of shape. So now you have all that tension built inside of it, plus a ball shape. So we're gonna go ahead and keep that going for a while until we get it nice and round, and get rid of all the ugly bits too. Make it look really nice and pretty. And now it's time to take our bench scraper and lift it ever so gently, keep it in the ball shape, and put it down gently, smooth side down into the floured banneton basket. And look what I'm doing. I'm pinching it, I'm pushing it, I'm twirling it. Basically anything I could do to make it a little bit more tight. I want a nice tight ball. I don't want a loose pancake when it cooks. I want it to go high up. I don't want it to go to the sides. So that's really what I'm doing, and that's what this does. Sometimes you just take a big pinch in the middle and do like a twist. Sometimes you stitch it a little bit from side to side. You look for the parts that are sticking out more and you pull them in more. And there you have it. You just kind of set it all together. Again, we're gonna flour just a little bit, not for any reasoning, just to keep it non-stick inside of a plastic bag. So we're gonna go ahead and put these inside of our plastic bags that we took from the grocery store and leave them in the fridge overnight. So all right guys, now we're just gonna wait overnight. We could wake up in the morning. If we do it first thing in the morning, it's gonna be beautiful. It'll fill up the house with a wonderful smell. I love it. Or we could just let it hang. If we're busy, we go to work, we do other things, we can let it hang up there for up to 48 hours. But anyway, it's gonna be awesome. And I'm gonna show you some nice little designs. It's gonna impress your friends and loved ones. You're gonna be asked to gift it. It's a beautiful thing. And guys, the simplicity. It's just air, flour, and water, and a little bit of salt for flavor. But of course, you need salt for everything. Just the simplest thing, but it's all about technique and patience, right? We want time and patience, because that's what this is. Bread is patience. It takes time. You can't make you can make a fast bread, but you'll taste it. And you want to taste this, you gotta bite into this and feel like the love behind it. And we're gonna put some love into it. Let's do it. Yeah, put some love into it. Grand unveiling, voila, check that out. Beautiful, look at that. It filled it in, it looks nice. The flour didn't stick to the bag, very nice. We're not gonna need this bag anymore, so we're gonna toss this bag. We're here for now. So, first things first, I am going to take, let's use the original one for now. I'm too scared to try it's not that big. We don't need that big of a one. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just kind of center it. Just kind of center it right there. See that? So, as centered as possible. There's gonna be a few openings on the sides over here. That's okay, don't worry about it. So, I'm gonna wanna flip it now. So I have this nice little wire rack. I'm also gonna use this same rack to cool on. And basically, I feel a puff. It's definitely puffed up a lot. So I'm going to carefully lift it up. And flip. Okay. Okay. All right, you guys ready for the grand reveal? Here we go. This is why we use rice flour. If I just gently pull it out, look at that. Beautiful. And all this, you just shake this off into the sink and then put it away. That's it. You don't have to wash it after that. Beautiful. So, next thing I'm gonna do, I've got this cool little cooking brush, my cooking brush, and really what I'm gonna do is just kind of brush all that rice flour all around. I mean, there's so much of it. I was gonna add some more rice flour so I can make a nice design, but there's just so much to use that we really don't need to add any extra rice flour. And at this point in the game, the bread, before we go any further, to make sure that it's fermented properly, there's a little test that we can do. If you push your finger down on it, and you see how it doesn't like plump right back up, but it still plumps a little bit. It plumps halfway back up and has a little divot. That's how you know it's ready to go. I don't know why that's the secret. That's just how it works. So once again, we push it in, right? It's not gonna come right back out. It's gonna come out really slowly and stop at the halfway point. That's our test. That means we passed the test. We are ready to bake, folks. So let's get rid of all this extra rice flour. So what's cool about it, like I said, is that the rice flour is gonna stay white while the rest of the bread gets dark, and it's gonna show a nice contrast. Our lamb, which is basically a razor on a stick, and we have a handheld little carver right here for the more intricate things. It's also a razor. It's kind of just a razor stuck inside of a circle so you can hold it without cutting your hands. Can you focus on this? Yes. Okay, so the first thing I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna use my little
circular razor, and I'm gonna do a little design. So I'm gonna pick the prettiest part of it. So I think the prettiest part of this thing is probably on this side right here. I don't know, it really doesn't freaking matter. Let's be honest, it really doesn't matter. Let's just do it right here. Okay, so, wheat stalks. Wheat stalks are the most popular one, and they're easy to do because you just do line, line, little lines like that. And you're not really gonna see them much because you're working through the rice flour, but I'm not pushing hard. I'm just barely dragging the razor across because I don't want to form a seam yet. So I'm gonna make a little stalk for it. Maybe a bigger one right here. Maybe going with like a lot of lines. This is a big wheat stalk. It just adds to the beauty, especially if you're gonna give this thing as a gift. It makes it pretty. Okay, so I've done the scratching portion of it, and now we're gonna use the actual lamb. This is what we're gonna put this in about, I don't know, actually like half a centimeter right through the bread, throughout the entire length of the bread. So let me show you. So I didn't put any designs on this side. And the way to do it is you're gonna wanna kinda angle it a little bit, because when it cooks, when it rises, that spread, that cut we're gonna make is gonna curl up like a little wave. That's a good sign, actually. That's what bakers like to see. They call it the ear of the bread. So I'm gonna start all the way on one corner, right? And since the bread is nice and cold, it makes it easier to go. And I'm just gonna do one slice. Now look at my angle. My angle is like a 45-degree angle. I'm gonna do one slice across, right? If my razor blade was a little sharper, I probably won't have to keep doing that motion. Look at that, all the way across, just like that. Beautiful. Let's go one more the other way, but very carefully, because we don't want to double. We just want to make it nice and pronounced. There we go, beautiful. All right, guys, follow me. We're gonna go into the kitchen because it's about to get hot. But before we do that, remember our final tool, our very important tool that I talked about, our handy vac. This is what it's for. All right, everybody, we're at the oven. These things right here, I got on Amazon. They're a necessity, because we're dealing with 500 degrees, so you want something like this. So what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna go ahead and take it out of the oven. 1, 2, 3. Oh yeah, that's hot. Pro tip, never put your face in front of the oven as you're opening it up. Okay, we're gonna go fast. This is what I mean. This is what I mean when you have two different Dutch ovens. See how dark and blackened it is? It's just scorched from all the bread making I've been making. So I'm gonna take our bread that we just scored and gotten ready, and we're putting it right into the Dutch oven, right in the center, very carefully. Be very careful here, because you could drop it and ruin the whole thing and then ruin your day. Cover it up fast. Make sure the lid is on centered, okay? The lid is on centered, and then ready, 500 degrees, 1, 2, 3. Put it in. Alexa, set a timer for 20 minutes. So what's happening now is all the water that was trapped inside of that bread is forming steam. Since we don't have a steam oven, there's some professional bakeries that have steam in their ovens, and the steam helps it rise. So we don't have that. So we're using a Dutch oven. So essentially it's trapping all that steam, all that water inside of the bread, and it's giving it that lift. Steam is what gives it the lift. So once we get that lift after 20 minutes, that's when we take the lid off, put it on a wire, put it back in until we reach an internal temperature of about 210 degrees Fahrenheit. And then our bread will be ready. You want to let it sit after that for about an hour. They say at least an hour, some say a lot more, but it's gonna be awesome regardless. Watch and learn.
All right, so this is the most exciting part that most home artisan bread bakers wait for. The 20-minute mark, the original rise, the first rise. And we want to see how big it came up. Is it a floppy disk, which is going to be terrible? We'll have a nice rise. Will the ear curl out? Let's just see how it looks. And hopefully we have a nice big rise. And then it'll just yield for better slicing and better cuts of bread. And then we're going to put it back in. And we're going to put it back in. We're going to drop the temperature down to 450. And we're going to put it back in and brown it. And like I said, we were going to reach an internal temperature about 210 degrees. I'm actually going to be using a probe thermometer. So this is going to show me exactly, I'm going to take it at like 209, and then I'm going to put on a wire and let it rest. 209, it'll still keep rising in temperature, and that's okay. If you go too low, below 200, you might have some gumminess inside of the dough. It won't be as fully cooked as you want it to be. But 210 is nice, and it'll still be nice and moist with a crispy outside. Ready? We're almost done. For the 20 minutes is almost up. Okay, let's do this. Here we go. Oh, it's hot, it's hot. Okay, pull it out. Before I even do anything, I'm gonna go ahead and set it to 450. That way it's ready to go. And I'm actually gonna let a little heat out because it's way too hot in there right now. So now it's at 450. All right, the big reveal, guys. Are y'all ready? Can you see? Is this centered? Can you see? Here we go. Oh, yeah, baby. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. Let me try to show you guys what I'm talking about. Hey, look at that. Look at that puff. Look at that ear. You see how I'm saying the ear looks like a wave? Okay, it's getting too hot even for this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to lift it up carefully, not to drop it. Guys, this is one of the most beautiful ones I've ever seen in my life. And I'm not just saying it because I made it, but really, check that out. Guys, can everybody get a good view? Let's get a nice little view of this. Look at that. Look at that ear. Look at that. See, that's where I cut it. That's the seam. Look how big it got. It blew up, right? You see how the ear is curling up like a wave? That's what we want. And we could hardly see, we could barely see, we'll see it even more the more we cook it, the little etchings that we put on the inside. So look at the height on this baby. This is gonna be beautiful. And I could already see the air bubbles on the outside. I can already see the air bubbles on the seam themselves. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my thermometer, my probe thermometer, and I put it right, I'm gonna try to make the business end of it, this part right here, the very end of it, right in the center somehow. So I'm gonna find a nice little spot, maybe find like an ugly spot that's already kind of compromised by the cut, and just kind of insert it into there. We don't wanna put it all the way through, we just wanna get it right into the center, as close to the center as possible. So we're gonna have to use our eyes and our feelers. So right about here. Perfect. Okay, so I'm gonna take this just like this. Right now we're at 180 degrees in the center. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it back in the oven. Now we're not timing anything. We got it back in the oven. We're not timing anything. We're just gonna wait for our clock to tell us 209 degrees. Be back in a minute. Oh my. See, 209 is the perfect temperature to take it out at. It's not black. It's still like a nice dark mahogany around the dark spots right here. And you can just look at the contrast. This is what I was telling you about. The white rice flour
Here, let's pull this thing out of the way. It's time to take the thermometer out. We're good. I always use thermometer. A lot of people like to just use it by eye, but I always use a thermometer. But just check this out. Check out the contrast of the dark. You can see my little scrapings, my little wheat stalks. You can see that, and it's just puffed up. So nice. I mean, where else are you gonna find a puff like that? So that's it. I'm gonna take it out using my gloves. That is what you want. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you my sourdough loaf. Isn't it beautiful? Holy cow. I'm so glad it worked out this way because I'm filming and you're watching and you're learning, and every time I do this, it comes out better. I swear, every time I do this. Look at the height on this thing. Look at the height on that. That is freaking beautiful. That is gorgeous. That is just, ah. So you don't want to cut into this just yet, because what's going to happen is all that lovely steam is going to escape, and it's still kind of cooking inside, and it might be gummy. So we're going to wait at least an hour to all day almost. Some people say wait 24 hours. They're crazy. I can't wait that long, but it's going to be so freaking delicious. Guys, we're going to make all sorts of stuff with this. We're going to make grilled cheese. We're gonna make grilled ham and cheese. We're just gonna fry up some bread and eat it, or we're just gonna eat it plain. It's delicious. So, do a super close up. Here it is. There's no light over there. This is as super of a close up as you're gonna get. Look at that. Look at that beauty. That is awesome. And the bottom is not burnt. The bottom is not burnt. You hear that? It's hollow. That's the sound you want to hear. You hit the bottom and it's hollow. When it's warm, when it's cool enough to touch, you do that. So let's go ahead and put this one back on our rack. And we're gonna let it sit here on our rack for a little bit, and we're gonna get to work on the boulet. We got one more for our bread journey. As you can see in my many changes of clothes, it's been an all day, all week affair. So same thing, we're gonna take our boulet, right? We're gonna do the same thing we did last time, except we're gonna use that larger piece that we made, that larger silicone piece that we made. But I can do the same thing I did here. I could flip it over to the nice side, and I could etch something pretty on it. I can make a score. I could do a square, make it come up like a big square, make it really cool. But it's the holiday season, right? It's the holiday season, right? So we're gonna make it special. We're gonna add a little extra effort into it, and it's gonna impress anybody. And if you got a special somebody in your life, they're gonna love you, trust me. Or if you just wanna like bring it over to a friend's house, to a dinner you're invited to, it's just wow, the wow factor. So here's what we're gonna need. Kitchen twine, right? So we're gonna need to know that we're gonna have to wrap it around the whole thing. So about that much kitchen twine. So let's go ahead and cut it 6 times. And we're gonna put it right across the middle. Now you gotta really push it down into the middle because you want it to stick to it. You want this rope to stick to it. You know what, actually? I need you to come closer. There's no way you're gonna be able to see what I'm doing from over there. Much better. So, we're gonna take this kitchen twine and we're gonna make a line going down the equator. We're actually gonna push it down. We want the wet spots to actually kind of touch this. So, I'm gonna make a couple more strings around the same size. Doesn't have to be perfect. It has to be enough to be able to tie around and make a knot. And it's gonna come out real festive. And people are gonna think you're this amazing cook, but you're not. You're just a normal guy like me. Like that. We're gonna do 2, 3, let's see how many more we got. Got one like this. Right down the, look, I'm trying to make sure I get it right down the middle of each triangle. That's very important, guys. Very important. One more. One more, about that big. One more about that size. We're gonna go ahead and cut it. Cut it. Cut it. All right. And we're gonna go equal distance, right down the middle. I'm gonna push it down. Push it down. Okay, now comes the time. Now comes the time. This big monstrosity that we made. Let's get the ink on the other side. I don't want the ink to touch the bread. So it's gonna go right in the middle. Look at that. It covers the middle beautifully. There's gonna be no burnt parts at all. So I'm gonna flatten it out, right? Push it down a little bit. Hold it, flip it. Lay it out, hold it the whole time. Don't want to ruin this. I put a lot of work into this. All right, before I take it out, I'm gonna make my strings. I'm gonna make sure they're in good positions for when I do my knots. So check this out. All right, so strings in position, ready? You ready for the grand reveal? All right, strings in position, grand reveal. Here we go. Oh, she's a beauty. She's a beauty. Before I do anything, let's go ahead and take this rice flour and get it all incorporated into the parts where there isn't as much rice flour. So it's like, so it just looks the same. You know, you want white everywhere, because we're definitely gonna be carving into this one. We're gonna impress some people with this one. So some places have a lot of rice flour, some places have no rice flour. We're gonna fix that right now. And it's nice and cold, so it's gonna be easy to work with. The colder your bread is, the easier it is to score and make designs it is. If it's warm, forget about it. Okay, so now very carefully, I'm gonna take each end of the string and tie it right in through the middle, right there, okay? So we got one. I'm not gonna tie it tight. I don't wanna make any indentations in my bread. So I'm just gonna tie it loose like this, just enough. Loose, just enough. Let's go ahead and cut out the slack. Cut out the slack, cut out the slack. Same thing, and we're just gonna keep doing that. To each side. Now I wanna make sure that it's in the middle. I want it all to be connected in the middle. Boom. Let's do one more box knot. Nice. Let's cut out the slack.
Okay. Getting there, guys. 2 more ropes. 2 more ropes. You'll see what I'm talking about when I'm done. 1 like that. 1 like that. Nice. Not too tight. Remember, we're just wrapping it around. We're not making any indentations with this. This is gonna keep the rope side from growing in the oven, right? So we wanna make sure this is all centered. This all has to be centered, right? We want equal size triangles. Uh-oh. This might be a little bit too big. Guys, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's bread. It just has to look pretty, okay? I think I could do that. Come on. Yeah. Yeah. Wow, these scissors can't cut rope. Come on. All right, we got it. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and fix my lines. All right, so make sure all my triangles are nice and even. So now, I'm gonna start making a design, right? So I don't know, let's do like, let's do something like this. I'm gonna scratch it in. Scratch it a little further. Let's do like teardrops. How about teardrop design? Like that. You can't have surgeon's hands for this, man. I just came from working out, so my hands are shaky. Teardrop designs like this. Go all the way around. Boom. Okay. You know, this is actually very stress relieving. If you're just stressed out and you have a stressful day, this is something that'll just chillax you without any drugs or alcohol. Just make some bread. It's like yoga. It's like meditation. I've heard that somewhere before. One more on this side. Check it out. We're gonna take our scissors, right? And right around each of these things, we're gonna make little cuts. Just to show that we're giving it a little extra something, something. I'm gonna stick my scissors right into where that would have been, where the cuts are. And just make little square cuts like that. Don't cut the rope, Dennis. Don't cut the rope. Okay, let's do that on each one. All right. It's a labor of love, guys. After a while, after you do one, you're like, all right, I'm done. But you already got it started, so I might as well finish it, right? That's just the way life is. That's the way cooking is. Once you start it, don't stop, just finish it. Just finish your job. This is gonna look nice too. Very festive for the weather. If it was Thanksgiving, it'd be perfect for Thanksgiving too. Like a centerpiece on a Thanksgiving table. If you want everybody to be like, wow, you did that? Or did you buy that? No, man, I did that. With time that I don't have, I did that for you. Instant friends, instant family, just like that. All right. I'm already getting sick of this, to be honest with you. But I started it, I gotta finish it. I wish there was a way I can go faster. But there isn't. We're just gonna have to go like this. See, I gotta use these little scissors so I can be precise, so I can get right inside my cuts and not go over my cuts and make it look sloppy. And I could do all sorts of designs, guys. I don't know, I'm just choosing this right now. I think it'll look good for my thumbnail photo. What do you think? Maybe some of you guys will click on it and watch this video. Maybe some of you guys will subscribe. That'd be really nice. All from the time that it took me to make this. You know, some people get subscribers for playing video games. Well, I'm putting in the work, guys. I'm putting in the hours. I'm putting in the days. I'm putting in the weeks to make some bread for you. I'm not just playing a video game. You know, no hate to the video gamers out there. But I'm actually working over here, guys. I'm actually working. No hate at all. Almost. Okay, be careful. Don't want to cut that rope. Don't cut the rope, Dennis. Don't cut the rope. All right. I feel like we need something else. Let's do like a little leaf pattern here. Yeah, there we go. Leaves. The leaves have fallen from the trees. So we're gonna do little center lines down the middle. Little leaf lines. They're the veins. The veins of the leaves. Little leaf lines. There we go. Let's go all the way around. You had to make it hard, didn't you? You couldn't have just done an easy one with a nice big score down the middle, couldn't you? You had to make it hard, Dennis. But I'm doing this for you guys. I love you. All you guys out there, even the ones that don't subscribe to the channel, I love you too. And I actually hope I get to feed everybody. Wouldn't that be awesome? If everybody watched this channel got to eat some of my food. That makes me happy. You know, making people happy through food, that's an ancient tradition. And that's something that doesn't go away. And I feel happy when people eat my food and they're like, I am feeling so much better I was than before I came over. All right, so we're gonna leave it like that. Now, let's take it over to the oven, do the same exact thing we did, and see how good we can make it. All right, guys, you remember the situation, right? We got it at 500 degrees, scalding hot. Our Dutch oven is ready. Don't put your face in front of the oven when you open it. I've learned the hard way. Boom, to the side. Take it fast too. We want to take it out fast because you don't want the heat to escape. All right, we're gonna open it up. And we're gonna take our boulet
our little concoction that we made ever so carefully. Ever so carefully. We're gonna put it inside. Ever so carefully. Right in the middle. Oh, beauty. All right, close her up. Make sure the lid's on tight, right? Make sure the lid's on real tight. Here we go. As soon as I open it, I'm gonna close it. There we go. Oh, it's a little open here. Alexa, set a timer for 20 minutes.
20 minutes, starting now.
Are you ready? Oh, snap. Oh, snap. Look what we got here. Look at what we've got here. Guys, do you see this? Here, let me move a little stuff out of the way so you can get a good look. Check it out. Look at that. Look at that, guys. Is that beautiful? Is that pretty or what? So right now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take these ropes off. Let's go ahead and take them off. We don't want them. We don't want them on our final product. Because the more we leave them on, the harder it's gonna be to take them off when we're totally done. But they're done, they've done their job. They've risen it where we want it to rise, and they've kept it where we wanted to keep it. The same concept, okay guys? We're gonna take our thermometer, we're gonna put it in the ugliest end and make sure this part ends up right in the middle here somewhere. So let's say, boom. Right there, 209. So we're gonna put it back in at 450 degrees until the internal temperature reaches 209. This one might take a little bit longer because it's bigger. This is the final product. It's actually not the final product yet. It still needs to sit around for about an hour and cool before we cut into this thing. But look at that. If you bring this to a party, if you bring this thing to a dinner party, everybody's gonna be asking you questions. You're gonna be the most popular person at the dinner party. You're gonna say, how in the world did you do that? And when they taste it, they're gonna be like, holy cow, not only is it beautiful, but it tastes delicious.